Granicus running right now or not yet?
No, not if I hit backspace. The back button's not gonna help.
So I need, there's another tab in
There we go.
Yay.
Promising.
Yeah, very much so. This might be on high. Blast myself in. Helps if you turn the volume on.
It's like when your eardrums are bleeding from the volume up too loud.
I think I hear myself. Yeah. Sweet.
I like when things work. So don't keep making noise yet.
We're working.
Area required temporary takes.
I
Cool.
can chat about it. I do think it needs to be, there needs to
And
be
these?
kind of a contingency. I think that's the leverage in the back, otherwise we're
10.
gonna have to.
Right.
18, 23.
And I think even though we didn't talk about
Are
it, I
they
think it's
just
implicit.
corrections of language that was missed?
Well, this is encouraging. There's nobody here.
Have we seen Pete?
His car was not out there when I drove up, and I just drove up. I just gave him the whip breakfast, so.
So what's gonna happen? These are listed for 9:30. Their letter says 9, so we put 9:30 in here. We're gonna do our thing, and we're gonna get in the lead and be back at 9:30.
Steve, are you going to be able to make that meeting in Preston tomorrow night?
Brett,
Yes.
are these just cleanups?
Tomorrow, Friday.
Or
Oh, I-
10,
because that's
18,
up-
23.
they,
Trying to match up legals.
they sent a notice they got a meeting tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The one on PG&E is,
I think it works. Yeah. 22nd. And what, 9 o'clock where?
9 o'clock at the Radisson.
Okay.
This is the water.
Supervisors meeting.
areas. I've included these drawings in
Of San Joaquin Valley?
my presentation, and each one of them has the area to be acquired and the temporary easement, so you can see what the size of it
You know where at Radisson? Just there?
Yeah, there's a notice.
Okay.
In your initial presentation,
After they started, like 1:30.
I will ask if the board has any questions, and then I will launch into the focus presentation on a property for public hearing, hold the public hearing, and then the other focus presentation. And then the focus presentation just on properties.
Is the tuna really tuna?
so. And so but we can't do it till 9:30. Okay.
What are our numbers down to today?
We'll convene, then we'll go to closed session.
Pretty fast.
Okay, everyone's here. Good morning, welcome to the October 21st Board of Supervisors meeting for Tulare County. If you would please stand with me as we pledge allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Ready, salute.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Okay, board, we have found a small correction that needs to be addressed. Each of the people received a notice that this hearing was to take place at 9 a.m. Our agenda actually says 9:30, so we'll not start the public hearings until 9:30, but we do want to, at this time, have public comments. Anyone wishing to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will go to Board of Supervisor matters. Are there any supervisors that has a supervisor's matter? Seeing none, I will ask Michelle. Michelle, the items that are off calendar and to be continued, can we do those at this time, or do we need to wait until 9:30 as well?
We're probably going to need to wait till 9:30 because they are noticed public
Okay,
hearings.
We're going to adjourn to closed session now then, and we'll be back at 9:30. Just one more minute, Brett. Good morning. We are back in open session. We do have several public hearings scheduled. Mr. Fussell, are you going to announce this list, or am I?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you please take care of that first?
Good morning, Britt Fussell, Assistant Director with the Resource Management Agency. We have some changes in the agenda this morning that will shorten the day for all of us. The following items are being removed from the agenda and do not need any consideration by the board, as we have settled with these property owners. And that is item number 4 for Perrine, item number 8, Foreplay Farms, item number 11, Friesen, item number 13, Thiessen, item number 15, WJM Farms, and item number 16, AMR Properties. In addition, we have 3 items on the agenda this morning that are being removed and will be rescheduled for consideration on November 10th. And again, there would be no need for any board action on this because they're not being continued. They're going to be renoticed. And that would be item number 3 for Robert W. Vanderham, item 21 for Vanderham Dairy, and item 22 for Ronald Vanderham and Cheryl Lee Vanderham. So that takes 20 items that we had originally scheduled down to 11 for this morning for the board's consideration. Michelle, if I could have the screen, thank you.
21 and 22.
21, 22.
The items before you this morning are consideration of resolutions of necessity for the Road 80 widening project. The purpose of the hearings this morning is for the board's consideration of the necessity for the project. It is not the purpose of the hearing this morning to discuss price or terms of the agreements to acquire the property. Staff would also like to say that just because we are having these hearings this morning and requesting the board to adopt resolutions of necessity does not mean that we are through negotiating with the property owners. We still would like to consider negotiating with the property owners right up until the time of the jury making the decision on value. So the purpose is to just keep the project moving, but at the same time keep negotiating to acquire the properties without need to go to court. The presentation this morning will be first a description of the project and its purpose and need and its goals and objectives. Then I will ask the board if they have any questions regarding the project itself. I do have some of my engineering staff in the chambers this morning to help me respond to any questions that you may have on the technical aspects of the project. Then we will have individual hearings. I will not repeat the general portion of the project. I will then just speak to the specifics of the property that is in question. And then at the end of each one of those presentations, opportunity for questions by the board, and then I would request that the board hold the hearing and then take action on that specific resolution of necessity. So with that, I would like to begin. Again, we're here this morning to consider the adoption of resolutions of necessity for the Road 80 widening project. And in order to do that, the board must make several findings. The first is that the public interest and necessity require the project. The second is that the project is planned and located in the manner that will be the most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. That the project described is necessary for the project, and that an offer required by Section 7267.2A of the Government Code, together with accompanying statement of and summary of the basis of the amount established as just compensation, was made to the owner or owners of record, and the offer and accompanying statement and summary complied with the requirements of said Government Code section. And lastly, in the case of working with another public entity, and we do have one this morning, it's Pacific Gas and Electric Company, the fifth finding that must be made by the board is that the use for which the property is sought to be taken is a more necessary public use than the use to which the property is appropriated. And these are all from Code of Civil Procedure. Project description. The project is to widen Road 80 from 2 to 4 lanes with a dividing center median from Goshen Avenue in the city of Visalia to El Monte Way in the city of Dinuba for a distance of approximately 14 miles. Current right-of-way is 80 feet, and the proposed right-of-way would range anywhere from 120 to 140 feet. The purposes are to improve traffic flow, increase safety, improve drainage and alleviate flooding, and then improve access to the city of Dinuba. And here's a graphic showing the limits of the project from Visalia on the south and Dinuba on the north. Some previous actions by the Board of Supervisors regarding this project include the adoption of a mitigated negative declaration environmental assessment pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act on August 22nd of 2006, and the Federal Highway Administration approved a finding of no significant impact pursuant to the National Environmental Policy Act on October 5th of 2006. Environmental clearances are in place for this project. The California Transportation Commission allocated funding to prepare plans, specs, and estimate, and to acquire right-of-way in December of 2006. We did finish the design and right-of-way acquisition for Phase 1, and the CTC allocated funding for construction of Phase 1, which was from Goshen Avenue in Visalia to Avenue 328, which is just the road bordering the south side of the landfill, in June of 2008, and Phase 1 construction is complete. We will be returning to you on November 3rd with the notice of completion for that project. Some pending project approvals that we're working towards securing. The first is a Proposition 1B state local partnership program funding, which is programmed in fiscal year 9-10 for Phase 1A. In Phase 1A, we will construct another 1.5 miles of 4-lane divided roadway from Avenue 328 to the Avenue 342 alignment. And also, we're proposing to construct the structures on Harrell No. 2 Ditch, St. Johns River, Elbow Creek, Cottonwood Creek Overflow, and Wilson Ditch. In addition, the State Transportation Improvement Program has funding programmed for fiscal year 9-10 for Phase 2. Phase 2 starts in Dinuba and works its way south from a point just south of the 416 El Monte Way, Road 80 intersection down to about Avenue 374, which is south of the traffic signal at 384, which is where the S-curve is at. And then finally, for the final phase of the project, there is STIP funding program for the 10-11 fiscal year for the phase that would complete the project between Avenue 374 and the Avenue 342 alignment. Public interest and necessity. The first is congestion and level of service. Traffic volumes are expected to reach 30,000 vehicles today in the year 2028, which is more than double the current volume on the roadway. Here is a table that identifies the congestion and level of service at various intersections along the corridor. And you can see that without the project, with the exception of an intersection in the city of Dinuba, all of the intersections would fall to level of service F. With the project, we would be able to maintain the C and D levels of service that are appropriate for this roadway. When it falls to level of service F, you create congestion, undue delay, and you negatively affect the air quality. And if you build the project and can maintain LOS C and D, you can minimize that delay and have a positive effect on air quality. From a safety perspective, Avenue 304, Avenue 328 have collision rates higher than the statewide average. 2 travel lanes in each direction allow vehicles operating at different speeds to pass each other without having to enter opposing lanes of traffic. The median provides additional distance and a physical barrier between the opposing lanes of traffic. The median provides an opportunity for left turn lanes so that motorists can make left turns without affecting the through traffic. In addition, the medians provide a sort of a safe storage area for smaller vehicles making movements across the roadway where they can stop in the median area before complete the cross or complete the turn, therefore making it a little bit safer. In addition, we're looking at a clear recovery area from the edge of the outside lane to obstructions. In the drainage and flooding area, there's flooding problems at the Road 80 Avenue 360 intersection during some significant storm events. So this project will be replacing a culvert under Avenue 360 east of Road 80 to allow the water to flow in a southward direction into an existing ditch system to convey it out of the area. In addition, the project does raise the road elevation to alleviate flooding across Road 80, thereby which then can block traffic. And then the project provides access to the city of Dinuba. Dinuba is the only city in the county without direct access to a state highway. They've done a good job in economic development, attracting packing sheds, food processing plants, big box retail stores, thereby increasing the truck traffic into and out of their city. And Road 80 then is the only regional north-south link by Visalia and Dinuba, and also connecting to state routes 198 and 99 for travel to Southern California. And the heavy truck traffic that is on Road 80 impairs the free flow of traffic along the uncontrolled segments of Road 80. This is a graphic that shows how the alignment is to weave through the area. And this is the 384 S-curve, and in this segment right here, we're actually lengthening the radiuses on that curve in order to increase the speeds that can get through this area and maintain the capacity of the roadway. In this particular area where the road shifts to the west is the Visalia landfill. On the avenue starting from the north and working south from the Avenue 416 to the Avenue 402 alignment, the road is centered on the existing right-of-way and improvements, and this is to accommodate existing development that's occurred in Dinuba. From 402 south to the 388 alignment, the road is then widened to the east, and as a result, we avoid the historic palm trees as well as the existing irrigation facilities. The slope of the ground on the valley floor is from the east to west, and so what you have are wells and standpipes along the west side of the roadway that pump into the irrigation system, and then it flows by gravity across the fields in a westerly direction. By widening to the east, we avoid having to relocate those wells and irrigation turnout systems. From 388 south to 374, we widen to the west, and that's to realign the S-curve and also miss an existing commercial structure at the intersection of 80 and 384. From 374 south to 335 alignment, we're back to the east. We're also making use of existing bridges and structures, and again minimizes the impact of existing irrigation facilities in this segment. From 335 down to Avenue 328, this is the area that's in front of the Visalia landfill, and we are widening to the west. And then from 328 to the 314 alignment, we are back to the east. This is one of the segments that's been completed. And then lastly, from 314 down to 304, which is inside the City of Visalia's industrial park area, we're basically centered on the existing improvements. That's the end of my general project description, presentation, and if there are any questions from the board, we will answer those at this time.
Any questions for staff at this time?
Okay.
Seeing none, Mr. Fussell, again, we'd like to remind those folks that we are not here today to discuss price or the terms of the property acquisitions. We're determining the necessity for the need of those properties. So as you make your comments, keep that in mind that we can't discuss pricing with you today. Mr. Fussell, we will start, I believe, with number 5.
Yes, that's correct. First one is number 5 on the agenda. It's the Garrett Griffion Family Limited Partnership. It's for the property that is known as Assessor's Parcel Number 047-06001. And for the purposes of the record, everything that I presented relative to the project and its purpose and need is intended to be part of this hearing for this particular property. Here is a graphic showing the property relative to the project. It is at Avenue 368 on the east side of the road. The right-of-way that's required is generally 47 feet in width and approximately 2,600 feet in length. Along with the property necessary for the road widening project, there's also a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement adjacent to the property. And the more specific descriptions and plats are included in your packet attached as Appendix A to the resolution. These are some graphics prepared by our consultants that show the right-of-way and its surroundings, if I can get my mouse to work. The diagonally hatched area is the right-of-way that's necessary, and the narrower strip with just the dots is the TCE. And in addition to the right-of-way necessary on Road 80, there's a small need for right-of-way on Avenue 368. Second plat, you can see here's right-of-way through up to button ditch number 2, and then the TCE that's behind it. The offer package was made in accordance with Government Code Section 7267.2 subsection A on February 26, 2008, and it included all the requirements of Government Code, that it was not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property to be acquired. We mailed notice of this hearing to the Garrett Griffion Family Limited Partnership on October 1st, 2009, and pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure, and the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll as required by code. Staff recommends the board conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of the resolution of necessity for this project, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing and in this presentation, adopt the resolution making the following. Oh, I'm sorry. TCE is temporary construction easement, if I explain that. Apologize. Sometimes we get stuck in our acronyms. And I won't repeat these, but these are the 4 findings that the board is being requested to make relative to this project as required by the eminent domain resolution.
Before you leave that, I do have a question. Our resolution contains a 5th item E, which is
Yes.
county council is authorized to file a legal action against this property owner. Is there a reason that's left off?
The items that are presented on the screen are the 4 findings that you are required to make in order to adopt a resolution of necessity. The item E that you just mentioned on the resolution is direction to County Council to file the legal matter in court. It is not necessarily related to the eminent domain action. It's just the direction to County Council what to do with the action once you act upon it.
But our action includes A through E.
That's correct,
as
yes.
well. Okay, thank you.
Apologize for not being clear on that. With that, I respond to any questions that the board may have regarding the Garrett Griffion Family Limited Partnership property.
Any questions of staff? This is a public hearing. Those wishing to address this item, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. There's a little button right down to the right there. You can raise that podium up. You're a little tall for it there underneath.
My name is Daniel Griffion, address 8022 Avenue 368, Dinuba. I do object to this resolution of necessity. I don't see the need for it. There has been miscommunication, cloudy answers, and unanswered questions, but there's always been open communication with us and the project managers. There are huge issues regarding our business that we do not feel have been properly addressed. We've been frustrated and upset, but we have never cut off communication. The project managers have said they feel we can reach a conclusion on these issues, but they need to move forward with the project. I feel it shows doubt on the project manager's part that we can reach a conclusion and that we will be forced to reach a decision on the county's timeline. I do believe there was plenty of time to address these issues and reach a decision, but so much time and money was wasted with Universal Field Services, and now we need to rush forward. I've always believed actions speak louder than words, and moving towards eminent domain will send a strong message. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any other questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, just in a comment, appreciate Mr. Griffion's comments. The one thing he said was a conclusionary statement about he did not see the necessity of this. There was no supporting factual reason for that. I do think the issues with them have to do with how do we allocate actual damages and costs to this project. I didn't hear anything that specifically would indicate why there would not be a necessity for this project. So therefore, I would move to make the requested findings and items A through E, including the authorization to file.
Okay, motion by Worthily.
Second.
Second by Ishida. It's unanimous. And remember that this is not the end, that we're making this move today out of necessity, and that staff will continue to work with you.
Oh, and Mr. Chairman, to just one other comment, because it'll apply to all these as well. The necessity from the standpoint of timeliness is that the entire project is in jeopardy if we don't meet a certain timeline in terms of acquisition of the property. So if we were to go 95% of the way and not acquire all the property, the entire project could be jeopardized. So that is the reason for the timing. The timing is such that you look backwards from, in a worst case scenario, if we have to go through a court process to finally gain the possession of this property, even then it would necessarily indicate that we've come to, that there's an agreement on the cost or adjudication of that cost. When we look at that time and we work our way back, that's where we are today. We're not here today. It's not the county's timeline as much as it is the project timeline as dictated by the law. So that's the reason for why we're operating today and doing this today. Again, it's not to force the property owners today to make a settlement. That's not the case at all.
Mr. Chair, I do have one question for staff. Going forward as these negotiations to arrive at a price, hopefully we can do that going forward. That will be between our staff and the affected parties, correct? And not necessarily Universal Field Services, because again, this is, as the previous eminent domain hearings that we've had have indicated, there's been a lot of problems with the consultant. So I would like to see that better communication happen between our staff and the affected parties, and kind of avoiding the folks that have already made this a difficult process to begin with.
Yes, and that is the approach that we're currently taking. We are engaging the property owners more on a staff level than through our consultants.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, Frank Wilson III.
Yes, this one, the affected property owner is Frank Wilson III, and the property is identified as assessor's parcel number 017-053-001. And again, all of the information that I presented in the first slides relative to the project in general are to be included as part of the public record for this hearing. The location, these are one of these parcels that are actually rather small. If I can get my mouse to work. It's actually up here in the city of Dinuba. The property is located along the east side of Road 80 or Alta Avenue in the city limits, south of North L Street. And due to some intersecting street realignments, this is going to become a total take. Again, if you're familiar with downtown Dinuba, as the old part of town intersects Road 80, they come in at an angle, and this project will turn some of those intersections into 90-degree intersections. And again, the more specific descriptions of the property and plats are included in the resolution. This, because of the, I put a red box around this one. If I can find my mouse, the property actually is right here, a small parcel. The offer package was made to Mr. Wilson on February 13th, 2009. And again, the package consisted of an offer not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and the interest to be acquired. And again, this is a total take. The notice of this public hearing was sent to Mr. Wilson on October 1st, 2009, and was sent to the name and address that appeared on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff is recommending the Board of Supervisors this morning conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of the resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing, as well as this presentation, adopt the resolution, again making the 4 findings required for a resolution of necessity, along with the 5th, which is direction to County Council to file it with the court. That staff would respond to any questions that the board has.
Any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, it's a public hearing. Those wishing to address the Frank Wilson III item, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none to speak, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for action.
Chairman, I would move approval, items A through E.
Second.
Moved by Worthley, second by Ennis. Cast your votes, please. Unanimous. Okay, Mr. Fussell, item 7 is the Sunrise Dairy A Family LP.
Yes, item number 7 is the property is a Sunrise Dairy, a family LP. The affected property is known as assessor's parcel number 030-060-021. And all of the information that was presented in the beginning of this process relative to the general aspects of the project are to be included as part of the public record for this hearing. Location of the property is north of Avenue 384 on the west side of Road 80. The right-of-way required in this area is 41 feet in width. Actually, it's narrows to 0 as you approach the north end of it, because this is where we're making the S-curve transition, lengthening out the S-curve, and this is in part of the transition back to the easterly alignment. It's about 1,425 feet in length. Again, there is a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement adjacent to the right-of-way acquisition. More specific descriptions of the property are attached in Appendix A of the resolution. A graphic showing the right-of-way take, hatched area, You can see that it tapers down to 0 at this location as the road begins to transition back to the east. And however, there is a need for still a 10-foot construction easement across the property in this area for the construction of the west side of the road. You can see here, the right-of-way is now all off the east side. Offer package was made to Sunrise Dairy on February 26, 2008, in accordance with Government Code Section 7267.2A. And the package consisted of an offer not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be the just compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. Notice of the hearing on this resolution of necessity was sent to Sunrise Dairy on October 1st, pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure, and again, the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff recommends the board conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of this resolution of necessity, and then, based upon the evidence presented in writing and this presentation, adopt the resolution of necessity, making the 4 findings that are required in addition to providing direction to County Council to file with the court. With that, I would respond to any questions that the board may have to the Sunrise Dairy.
Question of staff,
Yes.
Supervisor Worthley.
Sure, just a general question that came to my mind, and that is the temporary right-of-way for construction purposes. That begins from the moment of groundbreaking until such time as the project is completed? What is the process that's followed there?
Yes, Supervisor Worthley, that is I'm Philip Slater, an engineer in the Resource Management Agency. Yes, that is correct, that it will begin at the time that we begin construction, and will continue then. We give ourselves a period of about 3 years. It may also occur that the temporary construction could become effective if we do some right-of-way clearing in advance of the construction as well. If there's trees or anything that needs to be removed at that time, and we begin operating, and that could happen at that time as well.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? It's a public hearing. Those wishing to address issue for Sunrise Dairy, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Daniel Griffune, 8022 Avenue 368, Dinuba. I'd like to object to this one for the same reasons I had earlier. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions we haven't got to yet, and to come to this part of it, putting us into eminent domain and not even answering all our questions, I don't see any merit in that.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to this? We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I have a few comments regarding this specific issue, because I know that it does involve a dairy farm, and some of the issues that we've had involving dairies in the past remain consistent with this case. I know that a lot of even though this is a process for eminent domain and we're dealing with a necessity here, a lot of the uncertainty in the issues that these property owners have to do with how this will affect their business. And the way that it will affect their business is the number of animal units or the number of animals they're going to be permitted and allowed to milk on their facility. And those issues are not dealing with county regulations, but rather the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District and the Regional Water Quality Board. Now, I don't know if I'm correct in saying this. Supervisor Worthley can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District has indicated that they will not hold the dairies harmed for the purposes of land lost due to the eminent domain proceedings. Is that correct, Supervisor Worthley?
My understanding that we have worked on, Britt probably has more information about that.
That is correct, Supervisor Vanderpool. We have had conversations with the Air District, and they have stated that the taking of these strips for right-of-way will not have effect on the air quality permits that were issued for those properties.
Okay, and so the remaining regulatory agency that we're dealing with then is the Regional Water Quality Board, and they have not adopted their governing order at this time, and so we cannot have them grant that same exception for properties that are lost due to the eminent domain proceedings. And so as the negotiation for compensation goes forward, I think that's a lot of the uncertainty, and it is a very difficult thing because we have to consider not just the value of the land that's been lost, and the current value of the animals that have been lost, but also needs to be considered the value that those animals would have added to that business into perpetuity for as long as that's been in existence. So it's a very difficult decision to make, especially regarding these dairy facilities, but the necessity is there, and the compensation is left to be determined and to be negotiated going forward. But that's one of the things I'd like to say that needs to be considered on our staff's part as we go forward. What's that? Yeah, and based on that, you know, those intangibles will be negotiated going forward, but the need is there, and it is in the greatest public good to proceed with this project. So, in that interest, I will make the motion.
Motion by Vanderpool,
Second.
second by Ennis. Cast your votes.
And I might say, Mr. Chairman, if I might, that we are still having conversations with the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and notwithstanding what you have said, which is true, we are still hopeful there may be an opportunity to reach a written resolution with them that would treat this as a de minimis impact and not require the kinds of things that are of great concern to the property owners. So but those negotiations and discussions are still ongoing.
Mr. Fussell, public hearing number 9.
Yes. Number 9, the affected property owner is, and I apologize if I do not pronounce this name correctly, Farid Safia. The affected property is assessor's parcel number 017-183-003. And again, all of the information that I presented at the beginning of this hearing today relative to the aspects of the general aspects of the project are to be included as part of the public record for this resolution of necessity. The property is located at the north end of the project and is in the city of Dinuba. It's located on the east side of Road 80 Alta Avenue between South Q and West Kern Streets. And due to the intersecting street realignments that are being undertaken as part of this project, this property becomes a total take. The more specific description and plats are included with the resolution of necessity as Appendix A. And this is a graphic showing the property, which is this parcel in this area right here, a triangular shaped property. And in this area, what's happening is West Kern Street will be closed off here, and Q Street actually will be closed off. I believe there's a cul-de-sac happening at this location. And then the streets come together back here. This will be taken straight through to intersect at a 90-degree angle and make a more traditional intersection with Road 80 Alta Avenue. The offer package required by Government Code Section 7267.2A was made to Mr. Safia on July 31st, 2009. And again, the package consisted of an offer not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. Notice for this hearing was sent on October 1st, 2009, pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure 1245.235, and again was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff this morning is recommending that the Board of Supervisors conduct a hearing on the adoption of this resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing and orally this morning, adopt the resolution, making the 4 findings required for a resolution of necessity and directing County Council to file with the courts. With that, I would respond to any questions that the board may have.
Any questions on this item, board? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Those interested in speaking to the board on this issue, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. You please pull the mic down. There you go. Thank you.
My name is Farid Safiya. My address is 649 West Karen in Danuba. I buy this store before 3 years. The reason I buy it in my future to help me, and I buy it to make it for me in future. And I have 2 kids to go to college, and we pay him from this store. After he take the store, I don't have job, I don't have nothing. But if you want to take the store and the road, leave me the house in the future. This is what I want, if you can.
Okay, well, Safi, you know the negotiations are still going on. You can still negotiate that with the staff. That can still be negotiated, and I think you're just talking about the house itself that you can move off the property. Is that what you're talking about doing? Or leaving the house there?
Yeah, I need to leave the house for...
Britt, is that a possibility?
I don't know, and I don't know if I can see enough in this graphic to know where the house is at.
The house is adjacent to the store, and it is, my recollection, it's very close to the existing road edge now. I think that's the problem. I think it's a question, I think it's going to be right within the right-of-way actual construction, or it may be in the right-of-way of the new street that's going to be bisecting the property. I think it's the physical, I doubt it's the physical possibility.
Okay, it shows, yeah, if you look structures to be removed, it does show them at the very front of the property. That very top line says structures to be removed.
I'm not familiar with the parcel to know exactly where the store and where the house is located, but we would be happy to take a look at it and see if there's anything that can be done. Initially, we're looking at needing the entire property. Happy to take a look at it again.
Okay.
Before the people is coming in my store, he say we can take a little bit for the street in my store. Now he say I want to take all the property. If you can, I tell you, if you can, you need to take the store to make the street more bigger and give me the house in the back. You have rooms, or you can take it a little bit from across the street. I mean, it's because it's 1 acre and a half the property in there.
I think what he's saying, staff will take a look at a closer picture of of how the streets overlay with your house and help you determine at that time if that's possible.
Mr. Safi, if I might, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Safi, what they're saying is they will take a closer look at this. Normally, people in your circumstances are wanting to get out of there because the road will be so close to your house. People normally want to say, take my house, rather than leave it. If you want to leave it, the staff will work with you to see if that is possible. It may or may not be from an engineering standpoint, possible. But sometimes if you want to keep the house, perhaps sound barriers could be put up and you could perhaps keep it. But what I think the comment here today is that we need to proceed today. You can have further conversations with staff about whether or not it's possible to keep your home.
Mr. Chair, actually, this question may go to necessity. You're saying that part of the property may not be needed. You may want to consider continuing this a week so that staff can address on whether or not that possibility is appropriate.
Is that a determination we make in 1 week, Mr. Fussell?
Yes, as long as I get some, we'll make that effort, but I'll need some assistance from the clerk to be able to tuck my way back into the agenda, given the agenda timing.
I think we can arrange that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I just have one comment for Mr. Safi. If this whole property is acquired, both your store and your home, you will be compensated for the loss of both. And so you're not just going to lose, even if you were able to keep the house, that's why it's being continued till next week. But even if you were able to if you did lose the store but kept the house, you would be compensated with enough so that you could with your money that you take from the loss of this property, go out and maybe buy another store and another house. So you're not going to just lose something and have that be taken from you. We have to compensate you for your losses, and just so you know
but
that.
what you offer me is not enough to buy another store or or another land in this. And I tell you, I buy this one in my future. This is what I looking.
Well, and going forward, that's a part of the negotiations of value that you will have with our staff. Today's hearing is just to determine whether or not this is in the greatest public good and in the public interest to move forward with this project.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we continue, once you
We're at
close.
public
when you-
hearing
when you-
still.
When you close it, I'll move to continue for 1 week.
I'll second that.
Well, we can't make the motions yet.
But did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to leave the public hearing open, but we'll continue it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to continue this matter 1 week for purposes of investigation by our
I'll second
staff on
that.
necessity.
Moved by Worthley, second by Ennis. So we'll continue this.
And Mr. Chairman, you may want to clarify that would be continued to Tuesday and not Wednesday.
Is this,
Yes.
this will be
Yeah.
continued to Tuesday meeting and not Wednesday, Mr. SFE? Okay, Mr. Fussell, public hearing number 10, Ruth Griffion.
Thank you. This is item number 10 on your agenda this morning. This is a public hearing for a resolution of necessity to acquire property from Ruth Griffion. The affected parcels are known as assessors parcel numbers 048, 010, 010, 048, 010, 014, 048, 010, 018, and 048, 010, 019. And again, all of the information that I presented at the beginning of the hearings this morning relative to the general purpose and need of the project are to be considered part of the public record for this hearing. The property is located on the west side of Road 80 in the vicinity of Avenue 360. For the most part, the right-of-way that's required is along the intersecting streets of Avenue 360, a need for 15 feet along the south side of Avenue 360, 10 feet along the north side of Avenue 360, and then 15 feet along the south side of Avenue 368. And these are all approximately 120 feet in length, and this is to accommodate improvements necessary at the intersections. In addition to the right-of-way at these intersecting streets, there's also a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement along the west side of Road 80 across the Griffion property. And then the actual legal descriptions and plats of the right-of-way and TCE needs are identified in Appendix A to the resolution of necessity. Some overall graphics, you can see that on the west side, we just have of Road 80, we have the temporary construction easement up to Avenue 360, and we need right-of-way here, right-of-way here, intersection. Again, just TCE along the west side of Road 80, and then right-of-way along the south side of Avenue 368 in this location. Another picture on the north of Avenue 360 intersection. The offer package required by Government Code Section 7267.2A was made on March 3rd, 2008, and again, it was an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be the compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. Notice of this hearing was sent to Ruth Griffion on October 1st pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1245235, and the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff recommends this morning that you conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of a resolution of necessity for this property, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing as well as orally, adopt the resolution, making the 4 findings required by law, in addition providing direction to County Council to file the net resolution of necessity with the court. That staff respond to any questions that the board may have.
Any questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the board on this matter, please step forward.
This will be my last time coming up. Daniel Griffune, 8022 Avenue 368, Dinuba. I'd like to object to this one as well for the same reasons. I do feel like we're making progress, and communication is open. We just need to get some questions answered, and I do feel we'll get there, and I don't think we need to go this far. Thank you.
And it is our intention to do that and get there.
My name is Ronald Vanderham, 8150 Avenue 360, Visalia. I was on the agenda today, but I was put off because the T's weren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted. My hearing is November 10th, but for the sake of my neighbors, I'd also like to express my frustration. The communication is open. We're trying to maintain them. There's issues that are not being answered or resolved yet. Wastewater is the main one, as Mr. Vanderpool brought out. Right-of-way issues and some setback issues that are in question. So I'd just like to voice my concern, and I'll visit you gentlemen November 10th.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for
And on this
questions or
one,
action.
Chairman, there is a revised resolution for your consideration. In putting this presentation together last night, I noticed that one set of property descriptions and plats was missing from Appendix A. So the resolution that you have before you includes all of the required attachments.
Thank you.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Worthley. Second by Ishida. Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Fussell. Public hearing number 12. Stephen Drew.
Thank you. This hearing is for the purposes of a resolution of necessity to acquire property from Stephen Drew. The affected property is known as Assessor's Parcel Number 030-010-008, and all of the information presented at the beginning of this set of hearings this morning regarding the purpose and need and general discussion of the project are to be included as part of the record for this hearing. Here's a location map showing the location of the property. It is on the west side of Road 80, just south of the city of Dinuba city limits. Right-of-way that's required is about 16 feet in width and approximately 690 feet in length. And there is a need for an adjacent 10-foot temporary construction easement. And the property is more specifically described in the Appendix A, which is attached to the resolution of necessity. Here's a graphic showing the property. Again, the right-of-way necessary is the hatched area across here. And the 10-foot TCE is right adjacent to it. And this is on the west side of Road 80. The offer package required by Section 7267.2A was made to Mr. Drew on September 9th, 2008, and the package consisted of an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and interests to be acquired. Notice of hearing for this resolution of necessity was sent to Mr. Drew on October 1st, 2009, again, pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1245235, and to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll for this property. Staff is recommending that the Board of Supervisors this morning conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing as well as orally, adopt the resolution of necessity, making the findings that are necessary, in addition to providing direction to County Council to file the resolution of necessity with the courts. With that, staff would respond to any question.
Any questions in regards to this property? Being none, we'll open the public hearing. Those wishing to address the board on the Stephen Drew issue, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for consideration.
Move for approval. Second.
Moved by Ennis, seconded by Ishida. It's unanimous. Mr. Fussell. Item number 14, the DeYoung Investment Group.
Yes, this item 14 is a public hearing to consider a resolution of necessity for DeYoung Investment Group for the Road 80 project. The affected property is known as Assessor's Parcel Number 048130003. And here is the location map. It is located on the west side of Road 80 between Avenue 328 and Avenue 360. In this particular case, only a temporary construction easement is required, 10 feet wide across the frontage of the property for about 2,042 feet. And the more specific description and plat of this is included in with the resolution of necessity as Appendix A. And here is a graphic. It starts just north of the St. Johns River. And runs up to, I don't know, up north for over 2,000 feet. The offer package required by Government Code Section 72672.A was made to DeYoung Investment Group on March 5th, 2008, and the package consisted of an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. The notice of this hearing for resolution of necessity was sent to the property owner on October 1st, 2009, pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure 1245235, and the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff is recommending this morning that the board conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of a resolution of necessity for this property, and based upon the evidence presented in writing and orally, to adopt that resolution, making the 4 required findings, in addition to providing direction to County Council for filing with the courts. With that, staff would respond to any questions that the board has.
Any questions with regard to this property?
I'm just curious, we had no response from these folks? I mean, we're talking about a temporary easement. It just surprises me that we haven't gotten some resolution with them.
Mr. Seipert is shaking his head no. So.
Well, I'm being a little familiar with the property, I wonder as well. Okay.
Move
No
approval.
other questions? We'll open the public hearing. Before we do that, anyone from the DeYoung Investment Group or others wishing to address this item, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing nobody moving, we'll close the public hearing.
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Worthley, second by Ennis. Please cast your votes. That's unanimous. Item number 17, Bruce Kenneth Belknap.
Item number 17 is a request to hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution of necessity for Bruce Kenneth Belknap for properties known as Assessor's Parcel Numbers 030020018, 030020024, and 030024021. And these properties are located on the west side, get my mouse, west side of Road 80, just north of Avenue 400. Right-of-way that's required varies in width from 19 feet on the south end to 15 feet on the north and is approximately 440 feet in length. In addition, there is a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement adjacent to the right-of-way. And the property for the TCE and the right-of-way is more specifically described in Appendix A, attached to the resolution of necessity. Here is this actually is broken up into 3 graphics Mr. Belknap owns. And this graphic shows the right-of-way across here with a 10-foot TCE. The next one picks up the property to the north right-of-way, a little wider TCE. And then, again, the third property is right-of-way and narrow TCE, 10-foot TCE. The offer package required by Government Code Section 7267.2A was made to Mr. Belknap on August 1st, 2008, and the package consisted of an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be the just compensation for the property and the interests to be acquired. The notice of this resolution of necessity hearing was sent on October 1st, 2009, pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1245235, and the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff is recommending that board conduct a hearing regarding the adoption of the resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing and orally, adopt the resolution of necessity, making the 4 required findings and providing direction to County Council to file the resolution of necessity with the courts. With that, staff would respond to any questions that the board may have.
Questions? You have one quick question. On the first parcel, is that a house that we're getting closer to? That's a home? How close do we get up to the home? Or how far away? Is it on the far left there? That's a home right there?
31 feet right away. Closest point, at this point right here, is 31 feet to the new right-of-way line.
Okay. I saw little numbers. I didn't know what they meant. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, this is the public hearing. I know Mr. Belknap is here to address the board. If you would, please state your name and address, even though we have it. State for the record, please.
My name is Bruce Belknap. I live at 40255 Road 80, Dinuba. I'm here to object to the resolution, not the project, and the reason is there's actually 2 houses on 2 of those properties, and in the 10 years this has been going on, I was told I would be contacted during the environmental impact report to see how it affected my life, my business, which is on the property. Nobody showed up. I was told when they did the appraisal that they would come and talk to me. Nobody showed up. The only person I've talked to is the man from Universal Services, which seemed like a nice guy, but he didn't know anything. He just said, "Why didn't you sign the papers and send them back?" And I told him, and he said, "Oh, I agree with you. You should go get another appraisal." And I said, "I'm not disputing the value of the property they want. I'm disputing my house is unlivable, unsellable." So he said, "Get the appraisal." I spent $5,000 of the taxpayers' money on an appraisal, and that's it. I haven't talked to one person from the county about my concerns, about how it's going to affect anything. And I've only talked to him, I believe, one time. He may have came back and taken some pictures one time, and that's it. Nobody has come and talked to me.
I apologize for that. I will make sure that our staff contacts you personally. Your statement that you didn't, question the project, I think folks recognize this project does need to be done, but that you were apparently handled poorly. I apologize for behalf of my staff, and we'll make sure that they do contact you directly. Although I think we do still need to move forward, I think you have the understanding that we're not closing any doors or making any final decisions today, that you still have your rights to be justly compensated.
I understand that. I'm just saying that if they had, went to all the meetings and listened to all the people who were hired by the county, if they had just done what they said, we probably wouldn't be here right now. But nobody showed up to talk to me. So.
Okay. Well, I apologize for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to comment too that I did speak with Mr. Belknap a couple days ago, and he shared his concerns with me as well. The one thing I was going to say to him is that in our resolution of necessity, we're talking about what we have to take for this project. It doesn't mean that later on, if it's determined that your house is impacted to the point that it has to be purchased or whatever, that's not precluded by today's action. Today's action is just to make sure we acquire the right-of-way that we need for the purpose of constructing the road, and that issue that you have will be resolved at a later time.
I understand that, but I don't know if you guys know that they bought a house to the north of me, they bought a house to the south of me, but and the one to the north of me is 2 feet farther from the center, or excuse me, I'm 2 feet farther from the center of the existing road than he was, and somebody evidently talked to them, so.
Hey, we'll make sure our staff does have talks with you then.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address this item? See, and Mr. Belknap, he's right behind you as we speak. We'll close the public hearing, bring this back to the board for action.
Move approval.
Moved by Ashita, seconded by Ennis. It's unanimous. Okay, our next item is public hearing number 18, DeValle Capital Corporation, or
Yes.
DeVal.
Item number 18 is a public hearing to consider a resolution of necessity for the DeValley Capital Corporation Road 80 widening project. The affected property is also known as Assessor's Parcel Number 030-120040. Located on the east side of Road 80, just south of the Dinuba city limits. The right-of-way that's required is 24 feet in width and approximately 360 feet in length. And again, there's also a need for a temporary 10-foot construction easement. And the property description and plats are more specifically described in Appendix A, which is attached to the resolution of necessity. Here is a graphic aerial photograph. The property is right in this area. The hashed, diagonally slashed area is the right-of-way that's required. You can see that this property actually wraps around another property, broken up into two pieces, and then there's also a 10-foot TCE adjacent to the right-of-way.
We're not talking about the piece with the house on it.
No, this piece is not part of this discussion. The offer package required by Government Code Section 7267.2A was made to DeValley Capital Corporation on August 19, 2008, and the offer that was made was not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and the interest to be acquired. Notice of hearing on this resolution of necessity was sent on October 1st, 2009, pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure 1245235, and the notice was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors conduct the hearing regarding the adoption of the resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing and orally, adopt the resolution of necessity, making the 4 required findings. I would also would like to add in, I did not comment on this in my opening comments, but all of the discussion and presentation I made relative to the project and its purpose and need at the beginning of this morning's hearing, set of hearings, is to be considered as part of the public record for this hearing. I also need to note that there is a revised resolution for the board's consideration. Again, this was one of those I was preparing for this morning's hearings. Notice that the Appendix A was not complete, so it's now complete with the revised resolution before you. With that, staff would respond to any questions that the board may have.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. The DeValley Capital Corporation. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board on this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Move for approval.
Moved by Ennis, second by Worthley. Cast your votes, unanimous. Okay. Mr. Fussell, hearing number 19, Jose Lucatero Jr.
Yes. Public hearing to consider a resolution of necessity for the Road 80 widening project for Jose Lucatero Jr. The affected property is also known as Assessor's Parcel Number 017-182-016. And the property is in the city of Dinuba on the east side of Road 80. Right-of-way required lies just north of South Q Street and is approximately 16 feet in width and slightly more than 60 feet in length. In addition, there is a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement. The property and for right-of-way and the TCE is more specifically described in Appendix A, the resolution of necessity. And here's a graphic, the property, this property right here, you can see in this particular case, we're not in a situation where we have a total take bid with the other two properties in this vicinity.
So even with the temporary construction easement here on my, it's awful small, but it looks like the temporary construction easement runs right through a building.
And our engineers looking at this and working with our right-of-way agent and staff concluded that we did not need to take the structure to create a total take. So apparently they're able to get the project built without impacting the structure and necessitating a total take.
Okay, thanks.
The offer package required by Section 7267.2A was made on July 30th, 2009, and consisted of an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be the just compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. The hearing notice was mailed on October 1st, 2009, pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure Section 1245235, and was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff recommends that the board conduct a hearing regarding this adoption of notice of resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence presented in writing and orally adopt the resolution of necessity, making the 4 required findings. And again, I would like to add that all of the information that was presented at the beginning of the hearings this morning regarding the purpose and need and general description of the project are to be included in the public record for this public hearing. That staff would respond to any questions that the board has.
Any questions at this time? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Matter of Jose Lucatero Jr. Any of those interested in addressing the board in this issue, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Again, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion by Worthley, second by Ennis. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Fussell. Hearing number 20, PG&E.
Yes, and this is your last hearing this morning, board. This is a public hearing to consider a resolution of necessity to acquire property from the Pacific Gas and Electric Company. The property is also known as Assessor's Parcel Number 030110011 and is located along the east side of Road 80, south of the city of Dinuba. The right-of-way that's necessary varies in width from slightly more than 27 feet on the south to slightly more than 21 feet on the north, and is 300 feet in length. In addition to the right-of-way, there is a need for a 10-foot temporary construction easement, and the right-of-way and the easement are more specifically described in the legals and plats that are attached to Appendix A of the Resolution of Necessity. And here is an aerial photograph. PG&E site is right here where my mouse is at, and right-of-way is across the frontage here with a 10-foot TCE on the area that appears to be an orchard, but I think this orchard has been removed, and I think it was last planted in corn, if I'm not mistaken. And then a TCE here at the where the entrance gate is to the facility, the substation, in order to do work with the drive approach. The project was designed in such a manner in order to avoid anything inside the fence related to this substation. I think there's like a concrete basin here. It must be for storm drainage. In addition, they have a ground plane and other facilities. This project will not touch anything inside the fence. There are several transmission poles that are located just outside the fence, and the project is designed in a way that either through the use of barrier, curb and gutter, or guardrail, we will protect these poles or protect the motorists from the poles in order to avoid having to relocate those. So we've done everything we can in order to accommodate the alignment as it transitions from the east side of the road onto the center alignment as it approaches the city of Dinuba, in order to minimize, if not eliminate, any impacts on the facility itself. The offer package required by Section 7267.2A of the Government Code was made to Pacific Gas and Electric on August 1st, 2008, and was an offer of not less than the county's appraised value of the property and believed to be just compensation for the property and interest to be acquired. The notice of this hearing was sent on October 1st, 2009, and was mailed to the name and address that appears on the last equalized county assessment roll. Staff recommends that you conduct the hearing regarding the adoption of a resolution of necessity, and then based upon the evidence that's presented in writing and orally, adopt the resolution of necessity. Again, I'd like to add that all of the information that was presented at the beginning of these series of hearings relative to the purpose and need for the project, the general discussion of the project, be included as part of the public record for this hearing of necessity. And again, the findings. In this particular case, there is another finding that is added, which is the use for which the property is sought to be taken is a more necessary public use than the use to which the property is appropriated. And this is required by the Code of Civil Procedure since we're dealing with another public entity. The fifth finding is the one regarding compensation, and again, the final direction to County Council to file with. And with that, I'd respond to any questions regarding the PG&E property.
Any questions? Everyone understands the one additional finding?
Yes, and there is a revised resolution for your consideration that correctly spells out that finding.
I did have a question, and that is, have we had no response from PG&E about this matter at all? Or have we had any response from them?
Al Seifert, Assistant Director of Support Services, Army. Yes, we have had some conversations with PG&E. It's the understanding is that we either have to deal directly with them through the eminent domain process or through the PUC if we were going to try to purchase the land just outright. And the process, as described through the PUC, is a long.
Oh, okay. So this is the most expeditious way to essentially of dealing with them. All right, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? This is a public hearing. Those wishing to address the board on this issue, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for consideration.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman, with the additional findings that are required.
Moved by Worthley, second by Ennis. Cast your votes. It's unanimous. Council, do we have any need to go into closed session?
No, we do not.
Okay, so we stand adjourned until next Tuesday.
Thank you, Board.
Thanks, Brett. Thank you, Brett.